Welcome, Miracle Makers. This is the master class on heartbreak and on forgiveness. There will be a great deal of classes that deal with emotions and everything coming up in Miracle Makers Academy to help you deal with all of the feelings that are on our planet right now. Our world, Miracle Makers, looks like it does because of a lot of heartbreak that has not been dealt with. Everything that isn't dealt with by our parents and grandparents is passed down in our genetics. We have so much that shows this now. We also know that if you get a cut on your body, that cut lights up a part of your brain. I can name the parts of the brain, and unless you're a scientist, it doesn't make a huge difference, or a neuroscientist, what the region is. It's the same region that lights up when you've had heartbreak. And over and over and over again, a society of babies, of people come through, and we're taught to look after the physical cuts, but we're not necessarily taught how to take care of the cuts that are emotional, that hurt our heart, that result in our own genetics being passed down to the next generation with less tools within them. It's such an important time on the planet. Miracle Makers, the world, your life, your genetics, your possibilities is counting on you to wake up to the greatest good that you can create. And dealing with heartbreak and really learning forgiveness like you've never learned before, and understanding exactly what unforgiveness is will help you be able to make sure that your heart beats so beautifully that everything that you're doing will result in the greatest good that can come through you. I've had an incredible journey. I've met with people that say they're beyond 3,000 years old. I've spent time with people that are making a huge difference on the planet. I've learned from and gotten degrees in order to feel so absolutely certain of what I'm sharing. And I want you to try everything on that we're sharing today from your own perspective, through your own intelligence, through this open mind, trying it on. Everything that's absolutely true is true for all time. And it will land with your heart, and it will land with your genetics and with your energy field as if you always knew it. It will also land with you in a manner that feels so much like you can take a deeper breath now, because it's allowing something to emerge within you. When we study in science now, Yale and Harvard, all of these great schools are studying what it feels like to be in awe. The feeling of awe, the feeling of aha, the feeling of what I would call the opposite of heartbreak. The feeling of wonder, the feeling of this energy of connection to everything. When your heart breaks, there is an energy of your heart shutting down. There is an energy of stress being released, less of your brain matter, your personality, your neofrontal cortex. Much of you is shut down when there's a feeling of heartbreak. And your life, you are life. What you are is a spark of electricity from your heart. Your heart literally sparks, sends a message to all of the muscle to contract. And this spark and this electricity contracts every part, so much so that we can feel, you can feel your pulse right here. Your heart is connected through your blood, through your vessels, through to every part of your body. And to this day, we don't know exactly what makes the electricity, the spark, the SA node that's in your heart light up and burst with energy almost one every second, right? A normal heartbeat, 60 per minute. That's one every minute. When you get all excited and you're in just rapid joy, your heart can go so fast because it wants to bring the rest of your body online to be with you. When you're in awe, when you're in love and you're dancing, your heartbeat is dancing to the heartbeat of a new relationship, a new friendship, a new possibility, a new love. And then all of a sudden, at some point, that heartbeat gets the message that there was maybe a betrayal. That heartbeat sounds get, this source of being lit up that you allowed, that you opened up to, that had you feeling so deep, had you in awe, had you in possibility. This connection is no longer available. Life itself is beating through your heart. Life itself, that heartbeat spark, is drawing, magnetizing. Your heart is a magnet, just like the earth has gravity. And we're starting to understand gravity. We're starting to understand time in all new ways. Your heart does everything that the earth does. We're finally understanding this. We're understanding that your heart is magnetic and it draws in people. It draws in experiences. It draws in the exact thing that will cause life. That one life, that thing that sparks the electricity in your heart, that breathes, that causes you to breathe. That life wants you to have the fullest expression. And it knows that your genetics held heartbreak. It knows that there was a bunch of stuff that was given to you that isn't healed yet. The energy of your heart brought in a beloved, brought in an experience, brought in something, and you experienced it in a way that might have felt less than great. It didn't feel great. I just went through something that had me crying for days. I reached out to the greatest teachers and healers I know and asked them to pray for me. Again, I know with my head all of this stuff. And yet life wanting to emerge through me to the next level, drew in an experience that really just broke my heart open. I go through the experience of looking at the lens of the situation, looking at it, being in it, and the yuckiness and the sadness and the tearness. 2 weeks, right? That's usually, anything is snappy for me and for Greg. 15, 16 years into marriage, however long we've known each other, however many lifetimes, we've got this thing, you're forgiven before you do anything. So little things come in, we're like snap, 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 as quickly as we can, turn them around back into love. Whoa, something unexpected comes in, and I'm in it. And I'm tears, and I'm wiggling through the muck, the yuck. And I'm remembering. In ancient Egypt, they share stories about how humanity lost its peace. The key frequency, Osiris, that amplified the field of peace, was dismembered and spread throughout the land. And so each one of us have a little bit of the peace that all existed throughout the land. Some might call it the stories of Eden, the Garden of Eden. It's right here. It's with each of us. It's right in the moment, what created us. I love the metaphor of the acorn, right? Within the acorn is the entire forest, orchard. How many apples are in a seed? One seed, apple seed, can create an orchard. How much does that thing, the seed that sparks your heart, how many beautiful trees, lessons, love can that create? You can only get to the core of the acorn by the acorn being broken open and the core being moisturized and water, the elementals coming in. The seed that sparks my heart broken open. Heartbeat sounds. Is this person going to text me back? Are they going to be mean? Are they going to be kind? What's the end result? How am I going to handle this? Who am I becoming in this? What's showing up? That spark, right? Is this seed going to sprout into something holy, into a fruit tree that blesses? Or is this heartbreak and this seed going to sprout into, I have the word up here, vengeance. VENGEANCE, vengeance. This heartbreak comes open. Your heartbreak, whatever broke your heart, requires tears, possibly. Most of the CEOs and men that I work with that want their relationships to work, at some point confess they have not cried in a large number of years. They have been holding in heartbreak. They will share stories that their fathers and their mothers and grandparents, they never saw them cry. years and years of powerful heartbeats, powerful seeds, not getting the element of being broken open. Everything that your family, your genetics that you have gone through has landed with you. It's landed with you to sprout something beautiful. Our current earth looks like it does because most people stepped into revenge or vengeance instead of into forgiveness. And it's interesting because you're like, wow, how do I define vengeance? How do I define revenge? And it's so interesting. This teaching, these teachers that came into my life that had some grave injustice done, right? Some grave injustice, my heart breaks open. My words were like, wow, it's a very subtle energy. I said, I don't want this to happen to other people. I'm going to protect other people, right? Very, very subtle vengeance. Very, very subtle energy of revenge. It's very, very important when you have a broken heart to slow things down. Very, very important to really bring in your whole heart, your whole love, your whole gamut of things into your experience, to breathe, to let that seed be nurtured. It's so important for us not to get lost in the energy of, I'm going to protect others, as a projection. No matter what anyone or anything does to you, yes, you can get there where you can create the platform of protection, but it's got to come from a holy, holy place. And it's got to come from love for the people that might have done the injustice as much as for everyone else involved. It's got to come from a very lovely, holy place. You've got to get into unconditional love, all conditions love for that person, for that experience, for that past moment. Or else you're in a subtle energy. And forgiveness takes time. It takes a long time sometimes, because it might have been your parents, grandparents. No two people can forgive the same way. No two people are going to go through the same process. It is a sprouting of a seed, an electrical field, a frequency that lives in your heart. Blessed be you that got to feel the heartbreak. You are blessed to feel your heart broken open, broken wide. My beloved grandmother died. My heart broke open. Such pain, no way to deal with it. I'm going to do 1,000 readings in her honor. In the process, a new seed sprouted, a new spark. Now, royalty to everyday people come to me for palmistry. to read their palm, to teach them how to do it for themselves. Reflexology of the feet, you can change anything in your life through your own hands. That was the gift of the broken heart from my grandmother. I get to share so much more of her wisdom. I came out of the closet. I'm not just a doctor. I'm now the medical intuitive that she was and taught me to be, along with the medical training, along with that seed needed the broken heart, needed the watering. Could it have happened in a more pleasant way? Of course. The Dalai Lama's seed, right? The Dalai Lama's story, before the Dalai Lama transitions, he lets the ones around him know how he is going to send signals to know which child is him again, which body took him in, which star seed, which being is holding the same consciousness. Energies never created nor destroyed. The Dalai Lama, generation after generation, children put through the test, demonstrate in a manner that is without doubt that this is the Dalai Lama. That child is then nurtured, given the old teachings, surrounded with absolute all conditions love. There's usually 4 children, and the other 3 become friends, oracles. They demonstrate with the Dalai Lama this unconditional love. It's interesting. Each egg inside your mother's uterus is one of 4. So the egg that became you had 3 other eggs around it. And those 3 chose the healthiest of the 4 in the group. And it donated all of its nourishment so this egg could come online, the egg that became you. They donated, they gave, they had everything they had to this one egg. Now this one egg started journeying through your mom's pond, right? Your mom's stomach is like a pond. It's a liquid, it's water. It's receiving nourishment. Sperm meets it there. In the journey, the egg isn't planted somewhere. It's in movement. The sperm is in movement. Your heartbeat is in movement. All of your stories are in movement. Everywhere that there is unforgiveness, movement has stopped. You have landed in a story, in a version of the story that continues sometimes to break your heart. And it's in the constant wounding of the heart. You've got this story. It's stuck. It's not moving like the egg and sperm. It's not moving like the sun through the Milky Way. It's not moving like the earth and the moon and even the water. Everything, the air, everything's in movement. Everything inside your body is in movement. Your heartbreaking situation that might be stuck in unforgiveness, and it might be stuck in the most interesting way, right? I'm going to help other people not have that happen to them. That's a stuck energy. If it's still from that source of the wound, if your heart is still not in love, it had to happen that way. Radical acceptance of the moment doesn't mean it was right. It doesn't mean it was wrong. It means it's in motion. Radical acceptance means you are in motion again. And the first step in getting to forgiveness, the first secret, the first key is getting present in the moment. And every time that you recognize it, if you've got 1,000 tears to cry, you've got to cry 1,000 tears. Doing palmistry, I chose to go to Santa Monica Pier to go do palmistry. I made a handmade sign that said hand reading. I don't even remember what the sign said, but it said something to the effect of, I didn't put my grandmother's name on it. I just wrote palmistry for donation. And I wasn't accepting donation. They made me write it so that people wouldn't think I was charging. But the city said you've got to write the word donation, so it's not like a service. There's not a payment. So funny, so fabulous how these things come up. 1,000 readings, crying in there, sharing the stories of my grandmother. Literally, service brings up more parts of your brain. If you're in pain, get in the moment. Find in the moment something that will give to you forgiving. Let me say that another way. It gave to me to go out and teach people what my grandmother taught me. And it was in service to everyone that came along. It wasn't a nitty-gritty gritting of my teeth. Oh my God, I got to go do this now. It was a deep breath. I miss you, Grandma. I'm so sorry that I didn't have the courage to ask for everything or the courage to show you how much you taught me during your lifetime. I'm sorry I didn't convey all of that. She was with me the whole time. I could feel her. You know, she was there. And yet, the heartbreak put a lens over my eyes. The heartbreak, your parents, your grandparents, every heartbreak is like a filter. If you're looking at the world through rose-colored glasses, everything has the tinge on it. I was looking through these rose-colored. At that moment, I failed my grandmother by not showing up. I had to do the work of self-forgiveness, bring it into the moment. Radical acceptance. I wasn't there. Whatever it is, you've got to name the offense that occurred in the heartbreak. What is the offense? What hurts? And lo and behold, as you start naming it. So for me, part of the recent hurt was I dreamt up a whole life with girlfriends. I dreamt of us being in service to the whole world. And back and forth, these visions of being able to give to such a high degree. And being misunderstood and things mislabeled and definitely things mishandled. Oh my gosh. I had to let go of the dream. That's what hurt. I love how I showed up for them. how we showed up and played together. I had to let go and step into the moment. It's now in motion again. It's no longer a predestined path that I was visioning in my mind, co-creating in my energy field, knowing that energies were being put towards that. I had to reconsider all of it. That was part of the heartbreak. Wow, reconsideration, deep, deep agreements written on paper. Oh, looking at, wow, you ignored signals and signs for yourself. Why? Why did all of this come up? So new seeds, new heartbeat sounds, new possibilities from life itself. Did we have a past life experience together? Yes. Did it balance this stuff out from the past life? The second I got out of subtle vengeance or subtle revenge and could take some of the lenses off, I could see all of their language, my language, through the lens of acceptance. I could even laugh at all of us. What a generous few 2 weeks to break open a new seed, to be in discovery of that seed. The first is to be in the moment with radical acceptance. Notice, are you still grieving? The grievance you've got to label. What is it? What is it? And these are the next 7 steps that will really help you get those keys. So first step, be in the moment. Yes, I am suffering. Yes, I have lenses on. I'm not seeing accurately. 2, get that you're judging. You're judging. And I love this story that occurs. It's a biblical story. And there's a time that a king, there used to be a time that people were put in prison for debt. I think it might still occur. I think the IRS puts people in prison if you don't pay your IRS debt, right? Well, there was a time that people were put in prison, and I believe they were put in prison like the old scrolls share that they were put in prison so their family and friends and others could come pay off their debt. And in prison, this person would write or would communicate or would make promises, and the debt would be paid. Well, at this one time, there was a king, and this man had so much debt, he could never pay it back in his lifetime. And the king lets this man go. He's like, you are forgiven all of your debts. And this man goes out into the street for the first time in a really long time, and he spots someone who owes him. He was forgiven $1 billion in debt, say, and he sees someone who owes him, say, $10 in debt. And he jumps on top of this man and says, you owe me $10, pay me back, starts choking him. And a great noise is made throughout the town. And the king's servant goes out there and sees this man that was just forgiven billions of debt go to and choke this man. And he goes back and tells the king, and the king goes back and gets the man, and he says, wow, you're going after this man for $10 after billions have been forgiven? And the man energetically goes back into prison as well as physically goes back into prison. Another man forgiven all of his debts. Same king, same story, forgiven all of his debts, goes to the town, starts cleaning up the town, starts in the town center. Every time people ask him about, are you angry about the king? You lost this many years of your life? And he goes, no, I'm so grateful. I was forgiven all of these debts. I'm going to spend the rest of my time in service. You have been forgiven 1,000,000,000 tiny little debts. A little bit here from your parents, a little bit there from the store, a little discount here, a little bit from a teacher, a little bit everywhere. And when that second step, when you realize that you're being the judge, you've got the lens on you. You are not able to see. And getting present in the moment, getting in movement, then recognizing, wow, I've been forgiven 1,000,000,000 debts. I've been forgiven over and over again. Every time this story comes up, I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to get grateful that I wasn't the one on that end, on the other end. Or I'm going to get grateful that I'm still alive and breathing. I survived it. Or I'm going to get grateful of, and you start being able to breathe in your heart. I can give to someone else what my grandmother taught me. The lenses start opening. Your heart starts opening. The blood flow starts going back to the regions of your body that started being shut down. Cortisol starts coming down. All of the adrenaline, the fight or flight, starts being released. Through your tears, through your sweat, through your service, through sleeping at night. So be in the moment. The second you recognize, wow, I've been holding this energy. I am judging the past. I'm keeping us both all stuck. I'm keeping us stuck. Then stepping into 3, which is you start understanding what was lost. So, wow, my preconceived notion of the future was lost. This deep-seated connection and love that I felt in my heart, I'm going to continue to love them, right? Whether they return it or not, could be lost. You start labeling all the things that were lost, and you carry them going forward. There's an old Hebrew word for forgiveness that involves to pick up and carry, naz, to move forward with the energy. You pick it up, you carry it, you move forward with it. Those on the other end of what was lost, they will, all energy, everything's energy. Their heart, their body registered what actually happened. The field registered it. Life registered it. You just have to accept it. You move into, wow, I am being a judge and I've kept it locked in place. And now I'm going to understand what it is. And step number 4, is I'm going to commit to bring that forward. Whatever was missing, whatever was lost, whatever was taken away. So maybe it was a lot of financial money. You're like, okay, thank God I could handle it. It didn't kill me. I got to contribute financially. Maybe it was reputation. And you're like, wow, all right, if that was lost, other people's opinion of me is none of my business anyway. I'm doing this for God, for love, for service. You recommit. Whatever was missing, you step into. And the subtle energy of vengeance and revenge, it can be in spiritual circles. It can be so subtle, right? Bless her heart. Did you hear what happened to so-and-so with so-and-so? We've got to pray for them. Bless their hearts. Oh, I hope that doesn't happen to us. Bless them. Let's pray for them. Mine was, let's make sure it doesn't happen to other people. Above all else, do no harm. My name was added to it. Whoa. And it wasn't true. I got to go protect people. So subtle, that energy. So subtle. And so beautiful what's possible for you when you go, forgiveness is unconditional. Love, true love is unconditional. The other people, the other persons, they have the right to be exactly how they are. They gave you the gift of a seed sprouting. And again, it's easy to say on this side, right? In college, I fell in love with a boy named, everybody knows the story, it's so funny, Dana. He came to India to propose marriage. My parents said, if he waits for 4 years, he can have you. And I, of course, beautiful man, didn't wait 4 years, married the next girl, and I have suffered, right? The whole heartbreak, every time I met a Dana, right? A girl or a boy named Dana, I was in total puddles. It had nothing to do with that past person. Total, just, I was stuck. I didn't even get to the point where I was seeing what was lost. What was actually lost? This preconceived notion of a future together. What was lost? I sacrificed my own wants for my parents' wants. What was lost, right? Getting to step number 4, right? The commitment. What did I commit to? From that experience, I became a really great doctor. I loved so deeply because I wasn't distracted with the heart stuff for other people. I was in suffering and I'm like, I'm going to be the best village doctor. I'm going to bring coconuts and watermelon and live in these really rough places as I was going through. This is what I really want to do. This is my peace. This is my mission. Part of it in schooling, part of it as research, all of it non-government organizations. That commitment, I commit to love. And this was the breakthrough on that relationship for me was, wow, I can love him to the maximum degree for the rest of my life and love another. It's not just him. It's, I can love Greg. And what an amazing moment that was. What an aha. What a giving of commitment. what a joy that brought in. And then, of course, Greg and I go through our stuff and we create "you're forgiven before you do anything." So, wow. And this forgiveness before you do anything for both of us. And we extend that to the Miracle Makers tribe, and we extend that to our friends. It brings us into number 5. We can deal with all the stuff that's on our genetics, all the stuff that's buried, all the things that our parents didn't deal with. Everything that your parents didn't deal with is now lodged in your genetics. And as you're healing and moving through the world, the place that you feel powerless in a heartbreak is something that you acquired from your parents or your upbringing. I'm going to say that again. It's so important. So as a young Asian woman, child, girls were never allowed to speak up. You were always spoken to, literally, like physically. The energy, the reason I didn't ever ask my grandmother questions or speak up and share is I listened for her to give me permission to speak. It always comes from an elder or from a male. In my relationship to Greg, I had to break that open. And I broke it so open that it healed my mom, it healed my sister, it healed my grandmother in the process. It's a really beautiful gift to witness. I didn't know I had the right to speak up until I brought a lot of people in my life that I needed to speak up for myself with. Each one of those heartbreaks gave me a little more juice to speak up for myself. They were the gift. And had I gotten stuck in the story or not seeing and recognizing life is bringing everything to me that requires healing and nurturing with joy. So that 5th thing, the 5th step is to really get, it's not your fault. Anywhere you felt powerless was because it was entrained when you were a child. And to really speak up to it now required your heart to break for you to really go after it. I'm going to say that another way. You went back into child mode in that experience. And you had to grow yourself in the heartbreak, taking a time out to be your adult version self so you weren't in an automated process. With your parents, with all of their challenges, with all of the upbringing, you got into an automated way of being around it. A heartbreak came in to teach you how to not be automated, childlike version of yourself there. This automated, childlike version of yourself requires you to parent yourself. No one else can do it for you. And, the kicker, you're going to project whatever your parents didn't, or grandparents or great-grandparents, you're going to project that onto the most powerful people in your life. Your boss, your beloved that you are afraid might leave you, the person that you see with and want the most from, you're going to project everything area that you were powerless in onto them to cause a heartbreak in order to create your own power around that. Let me say that another way. So Dr. Holman, at his 1,500 calls a month when he was working at the Holman Group, the CEO of that company, 400 plus employees, 100 more added, every one of them, whatever they hadn't dealt with, their father issues or their mother issues, landed at his desk. Powerful man, all resources, all levels of psychological authority. He is a PhD psychologist, company, healing, everything that wasn't dealt with. His employees, the longer the time went, anything they hadn't dealt with within their family landed on his desk. Same thing in your life. Every person that sees you as powerful projects onto you all the things they haven't dealt with yet, from the powers that existed in their life when they were growing up. So, when you were growing up, there was a part of you that you were taught not to accept. This is number 6, the shadow, right? You deal with, okay, I was powerless. It was my parents. It was my grandparents. All of us didn't have this power. Now I've got this power back. Well, now you're going to meet in this unforgiveness, forgiveness, heartbreak journey, all the parts of yourself that you didn't fully accept. Wow, if you're angry with someone for not paying you or sticking you with the bill, the shadow self there shows up. You care about money. If someone sticks you with the energy of you see it said or say or do mean things, and you're like, wow, you have to address the shadow self. You created instability. You got to address that shadow self. You want, like, the shadow self is the part that you judge so harshly in another. I'm going to say this another way because it's so, so important. If I love Greg because he rarely ever lies. He is so precise and measured. If you go, were there 15 people there? He's like, he'll think in his head and he'll count back and he'll like, there were 12 at 2 o'clock and there were 16 at 4 o'clock, right? He's so precise to where it's measured. It comes out. It's, for me, I'm like, wow, there might have been 15, 20 people there. I'm exaggerating sometimes. And one of the things that I loved about him most is he never lies. He's measured. It also drives me crazy when I want to get him to tell me a story, right? It can drive me crazy. But that shadow self, the part of me that's not precise, I personally don't care if it was between 12 and 20, if we say 15, it gives a roundabout number. It doesn't matter to me. There's a shadow self in there that doesn't care about precision. We're Norwegian descendant, measurement. The shadow self gets frustrated when you ask me a pinpointed question that I was only in the energy field with, right? I was just energy in that field. If you're going to ask me a pinpointed question, I have to deal with that shadow self. It doesn't know how to communicate the precisionness of something. I have to deal with There was a shadow me that cared more about you approving of me and thinking I was great once upon a time, right? Than cared about the connection. Today, I want to tell you the absolute truth that I can come up with precisely in a manner that will help us stay connected moving forward. In the past, I wanted to make sure that I never manipulated you. That was my shadow self. The manipulation part of me wanted you to like me and approve of me, and was pre-parent. My heart was broken. And there was always some measurement in my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents' life. If your parents, if the village didn't approve of you, you didn't have resources, nourishment. If you weren't liked, you weren't extended life. Passed into my genetics. With Greg, with the shadow work, with step number 6, heartbreak, I accept the shadow. I accept that I can go into a default mode that's going to crave your wanting and approving of me. Now that I know that shadow self, and now that I've gone backwards, right? The commitment, I made the commitment to stay authentic and true and love my shadow self. To invite, of course, Sarah, you're going to want people to like you. Oh, honey, I get that. In this moment, they can't like you. You can't suffer over whether they like you or not. Something is breaking open for them. Give them space. Heartbreak. Oh, baby girl Sarah, don't step into subtle energies here that aren't powerful. Don't go into over apologizing or over calling or over whatever it is, negating your power. My default was, you cut off communication. Wow, I would get into over communication. Let's fix this. Let's fix this. Let's fix this. Let's love this. I love you. I love you. Let's fix this. A desperate, preconceived from my parents, non-committed to the current moment way. That number 6, you got to accept that you want whatever that shadow, right? You got to love your shadow as it's showing up. And then number 7, in the heartbreak, you've got to be holding everything that you're carrying. And you've got to be in awe and in wonder and in the possibility of possibilities. You've got to be in the place where, wow, source and love are going to handle this for you. Those are the 7 steps. Unforgiveness is the subtle energy of vengeance. And then, whether it's revenge or vengeance, in your mind's eye, you want some balancing to happen. Vengeance or revengeance is and Jen, the word vengeance, Jen in that word is, let me make it a little bit brighter, it's the earth. You want the earth, you want creation, you want that power to be put in motion. That's the ants, right? Vengeance. It's the essence. So in subtle ways, right? When these words, anytime you see then in a word, you are viewing, you are creating, you are visioning with your mind's eye. This is what you're bringing forward. You're using the earth. Your heartbeat does everything that the earth does. And you're bringing in the motion, you're bringing in the essence. So, number 7, stepping into, all right, I'm going to accept and carry this. And I'm going to get that all of it, this experience was created for me. And you move beautifully through all of this experience was created for me into, I wonder what fruit, what good, what wonder comes from this. A past relationship that broke your heart, that you broke each other's heart. When you go through the steps, you see that person and you have nothing but reverence and love for them. The situations that cause our earth great problems, you have nothing but acceptance and the possibility of possibilities with them. You see this person and you see them in their innocence. You see the situation and you know it requires you to be in an open space around it. That is forgiveness. Forgiveness is you carrying it. Forgiveness is you being in possibility with it. Forgiveness is you seeing that person and connecting with the parts that are still available for connection. And your heart heals. And you plant new seeds and new energy. All the love with Dana is in my relationship with Greg, multiplied, amplified in my relationship with my kids. Everything that brings up challenges that broke my heart, that I pick up the phone and ask my most beloved friends to breathe with me. Right? I don't necessarily share the situation. I just say, breathe with me. And we breathe together. Unless they're able to bestow awe into the situation, unless they're a healer and a therapist and someone that's demonstrated that they can get me to awe with them, I don't share it with them because it creates, again, a subtle energy of revenge and vengeance. And it re-implants it into the field. I only do the work with those that can get me. Otherwise, I say, breathe with me, love on me, remind me of who I am. There's a village in Africa. I heard Michael Beckwith share this story. There's this beautiful village in Africa. And in this village, when someone does something wrong, they bring that person back into the center of the village. And they sit there as people come up and remind them who they are. Do you remember when you were 2 years old and you shared your lollipop with me? Do you remember when you went and gathered wood with me? Do you remember going to play in the waters? You call up people to remind you of who you are. You breathe with them. And for the healing, the heartbreak, that portion, you go to And we had this for a long time, village elders. That's what Miracle Makers is, right? A group of people committed to doing the most we can do for each other. Some people don't even see the 100+ classes, don't even go into the meditations. They contribute because they want, like, putting money in someone else's meter. They want to know they did good every month to contribute to the miracle frequency. It's the most that they can do. And then there's teachers within here that are, yes, give me more. I want to help more. I'll create and do more. It's the most that we can do. And we now know when you belong to a group, your subconscious mind experiences, your body experiences in the field the things that they are experiencing. So if you're going through a heartbreak or you're going through a health challenge, there's a group of people doing the work, your body receives the benefit of all the work being done. You're not alone in the field. The Institute of Noetic Sciences tested that. It's so beautiful. So thank you so much for being a miracle maker. And we're going to get into the second half of reading, connecting everyone in the community. If you want to go first, go ahead and put your, go ahead and raise your hand in the chat or send me a text.